Highlands. Tough to achieve in this area, I gotta say, but we're doing it. I chose this spot because right behind me, this tree, this big beautiful oak, is hollow at the bottom. Makes me a little nervous standing under it, but I think we're okay. Ideal situation for honeybees, if there was any. And believe me, I knocked on it before I knocked on it on camera to make sure that there were no bees, because that would have been embarrassing. So this is my first real installment after testing the cameras. My son helped me last Sunday doing that. We attached a GoPro to his helmet, and I took a bunch of different pictures. I gave him the camera, and he took a bunch of different pictures, some of which I needed to do for probably almost 6 months. I was putting it off. And I'm excited to have a Friday off, first and foremost, which is unusual, at least since the end of last winter. And so that's nice. Weather's beautiful here. It's probably high 40s or low 50s, as you can tell. And it's the 11th of November, 11/11, 2016. So that's pretty cool. Got a new president. To all you Trump supporters, which we all are at this point, because he's going to be the new commander-in-chief. May you be blessed, and hopefully he can stand by a lot of what he said. I certainly hope so. I'm not disappointed by either choice. Would have been great, but I did ask, you know, a higher power that the best decision be made for our country and its best interest. So I hope you're with me on that. I really, really hope that everybody pulls together, but it's this sort of thing that gets us all to think a little bit from the other person's perspective, and that's obviously one of the hugest components or advantages through social media. We're all kind of cross-pollinating our thoughts on what truly is our heart's desire. Not our minds, our heart's desire. And when we see through the hearts of other people, and sometimes the mind tricks us to go to the heart. And there is no one true path. Every path leads to the same answers. Just some take longer than others. And so I've come to understand and grasp, I think, to some degree, what this new president is going to bring to the table. Also, we have a full moon coming up on the 14th, which is in my sign, Taurus, and a full moon in Taurus apparently is exalted. I'm not clear on what that means fully, but when you're a Taurus and you hear the word exalted in terms of the full moon, kind of gives you a little exciting feeling, I guess. And this is going to be the brightest and the closest the moon's been since 1948. So this is a 70-year cycle. So for those of you who are able to think back to then, I know my stepfather was born 1948, and that was the year the TV was invented, which I thought was pretty cool. He always used to talk about that. And you know, he's at the front end of the cusp of the baby boomers. So to all you baby boomers, you're seeing something that was around basically when you were born, around that time. And it was on the heels of World War II. So TV was invented. What great momentous thing that has affected our lives will be in and around this this full moon? That's a big question, and we're certainly seeing some momentous things like the freedom to smoke marijuana in 6 states recreationally, and that's by law. Colorado was the first, California now, and so I'm looking forward to that trend continuing. And for those of you who are into penny stocks, this may be an opportunity for you to put a couple $100 in a few different areas and yield a high return, because this is such new territory. And with the stock market performing well, from what I understand recently, has actually made an upswing. At this moment in time, I can't be sure exactly where it's at, but I'm throwing that out there. This again is Quiet Waters Park. I like coming here. It's close to my home. And this spot that I picked is somewhat isolated, but you're probably going to see people walking behind me on one of the adjacent trails. Now there's a community almost a stone's throw away from me over here that connects to it that I recently discovered, and then over here is the heart of the park, where the communal buildings and the pool and everything is. And apparently they're going to have an ice skate rink, which will be exciting, because I haven't gone ice skating since, man, I think it's been a while. And I didn't fall, but that may change because I'm older now. But yeah, there's an ice skate in Quiet Waters, which is pretty awesome. So I'm learning more and more about this area and what it offers, and the fact that I have so many amazing things pretty much in my backyard, so to speak. So that's basically my rant. I'm trying to think of anything other than the points that I made known. Love one another. Embrace others' ideas. Embrace the conquests of others' ideas over yours, because not everybody can be 100% every single time with what they want. So it's choosing others to be in our lives is what makes us as well-rounded and as open to life as we are. I'm certainly not shutting anyone else out based on who they voted for, what their ultimate beliefs are in spirituality, or whatever it may be, because I'm learning all the time. The moment I stop learning and say I know everything, I'm learning as the days go by. I'm getting further and further away from that notion. Like I don't know what I don't know. I mean, I was very confident that the American people and the world at large wanted a woman president, and so that was what it was going to be. But I can't see the whole picture, and no other person individually can see the whole picture when it comes to the big picture, the good of the all, which I think all in all, in our hearts, every single one of us wants that, not only for ourselves, but for everyone around us. So, you know, I feel blessed. I actually felt really good just before the announcement of the president. And it's been weird. I actually started to feel myself shifting towards, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the thing that we need, the person that we need. And so we'll see. If nothing else, it's exposing some things that we probably never talked about before, and some of the things that we needed to get to the bottom of in terms of our growth, the body of a nation, and is it coming into its teen years kicking and screaming? Because let's face it, the rest of the world, you know, Europe, China, and all these other developed nations have been around for thousands of years. They have a long history. In this country, we're only just at the front end of what I'm hoping will be a long run. But America was really a think tank for all the different cultures coming together. And I will point out one thing about this racism with Mexicans and this division of Mexico. When we don't have that sort of thing with Canada. Canada's right above us, Mexico's right below us. So that's one point that I don't necessarily agree with as far as Trump's concerned about building a wall. not only does he have interests there financially and business-wise, which kind of sounds ridiculous that he would even mention that, but I remember hearing when I grew up from a lot of my Greek family that at one time Greeks were treated, as well as Italians, like the Mexicans are today. They're taking our jobs or blah 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 blah, whatever the case may be. I applaud them. Not everybody wants to be a gardener in 95-degree weather at 100% humidity during the summertime. This is why they take those jobs. They're willing to tough it out because they know the reward that they're going to get. Money that they couldn't even come close to in their own country, and they get to send it back to their family there and help support them until they're able to come here, or until Mexico is actually on point with the other two countries above it and even those below it. I mean, Mexico's taken a long time to develop. Whether that's on purpose or there's a reason behind it, I don't know. But I don't think we should be shutting off a border for people who are going through the same growth that we Greeks and Italians and other ethnic groups had to endure back in the 40s and the 50s, and the Irish and the Scots and all those before us back at the turn of the century. So, and certainly correct me on anything that I may be way off on. I try to, speak as honestly about things that I've read or come across in the past. So certainly, if there's anything that you want to add to my rants or feel I need to touch on, please, you can help me out. And the sun feels great. Little pointer, 15 minutes in the sun, and I learned this from a German scientist. 15 minutes in the sun, full exposure, even with a full sleeve shirt on, but preferably in the skin. You want to go out in a good mood first and foremost. When you're in the sun amplifies everything about you. Yeah, and so 40,000 to 120,000 neurons in all the things that actually constitute a brain can be found in the heart. This is a magnificent thing. Once you really wrap your mind around what this means, we've been groomed to think that thinking from the heart is actually very dangerous to our emotional well-being, when it is actually our heart that is paramount to how stable we are emotionally. And its thought process is pretty much are 100 times more powerful than any that come from the brain. So the heart, in conjunction with the brain, once you've mastered these two wise men, because the third one is in your gut, there's another brain in the gut, which we'll get to at a later time. And the reason I bring this up is that thoughts, thinking, and actually concentrating on the heart brings you to a state of calm and helps with meditation, decision making. It's great for working with the kids because it is the pretty much ground zero for play. You could not be a jubilant, playful person unless you were coming from the heart, because the brain has no concept of what that means. It's trying to do all the day-to-day things, the operations in the body. It's mundane in that respect, that it's battling with the right and left hemispheres to figure things out. But the play aspect of our lives, why master horsemen are able to train horses. Here's a predator trying to train a prey animal, and I've watched videos on this. The most prolific trainers, are the ones that do these things from their heart in relation to play when it comes to this prey animal. Brings out the best in that animal. It learns faster, feels more confident that it's not going to be taken down like a gazelle because it's working with a predator. So I know I've thrown a lot of things out there, and But understand that happiness, playfulness, giddiness, bliss is a combination of the brain's heart with the head brain. And these things have to be merged. And it has to be known, because we're coming to a place where we're evolving in so many different ways. We're adapting to a world where work isn't as necessary as it used to be for survival. Now we work to sustain and keep the pump primed. But, you know, my neighbor 2 houses away just got solar panels put on his house, or is getting them, or is in the process of which. And I always like this idea, not because it's green technology and it's going to take away from fossil fuels or our dependence of which. It's showing me that individuals and communities, little by little, are taking and sharing what they can produce. So instead of one central point distributing power to many, the many are distributing the power to a collective. So now there aren't any one thing, you know, that's keeping us dependent. We're actually more independent. And so the power he's going to be able to generate could actually generate enough power for at least the immediate community. It'll go into a collective, he'll make some money, or at least have free electricity, and at some point he'll recoup what he's had to invest, if anything. And some of the other houses are going to fall in line with this, because they're going to see the positive results. I don't know that you know, technology advances, you know, by doubles every couple of years, so we'll see how long just regular panels are going to last. I've heard of stories from Europe that you can actually paint on solar panels. It's infused in the glass and windows. It's part of the shingles for roofing, and it's just, you know, it's all based on nanotechnology. Another thing that isn't widely talked about but is being taught worldwide. You know, this is an advancing technology. So all these things that I'm touching on are part and parcel to what we're trying to go towards, and to achieve happiness means that we're really enjoying our freedoms. And so instead of enslaving ourselves by being dependent on one central force, we understand that that central force is us, understanding more about the body. And this is why I'm bringing all these videos out, because I've been absolutely astounded at how much I didn't realize about my own body, about the environment that I was living in. Water, how magnificent water is to our existence, and that it may be threatened. So I'm going to stop this rant, but again, happiness, love, embrace what the others have to say. And I think for the most part, what I've seen, we're doing that. Yes, there are going to be people that are going to be slow to this cognition that we need to come together. That fear is going to help keep them where they are in terms of not letting others in. Whether it's Mexicans, Greeks 40, 50, 60 years ago, and even the first people to come to this country or to go to any developing area, that there is a lot of work consciously, physically, emotionally, economically that we have to deal with. But abundance is a law. It's your birthright. And the best way to discover that is to learn about the body. And the power of doubling or exponential numbers. When you think about the egg and the sperm getting together, they first get introduced immediately when the sperm breaks through the egg. There is multiplication so vast in terms of numbers, it's hard to conceptualize in this reality right in front of us. But as the body's developing in utero, you go from 2 to 4 to 8, 16, 32, 64, and this process goes on. until it gets to a point where it's noticeable. After 4 or 5 months, a woman starts to show this child that started off as 2 cells is now, you know, halfway to coming out into the world, until it reaches, like my son was 7 pounds and grew in a woman from a 5'2" frame. Just 2 cells joining. And so think about that exponential component when it comes to social networking. Same thing. Started off with a couple friends. Now where am I at? 500, 590. I predict in another couple years that number will double. Not that I'm even trying. There was a time where I was actually very proactive about adding people, and now I'm just kind of okay with letting it happen naturally, you know. But social media is a great example of this exponential component. Things multiplying. So I think an idea, especially with the power of the heart and love behind it, there's no real knowing how big that can get. You know, even Christ's teachings from the Bible, it's been a couple thousand years, has now reached 2/3 of the planet. 2/3 of the planet believe in this man. And probably a great deal of the other 1/3 believe enough in our belief, so it really is global. Jesus was very impactful with his teachings. They were truthful, they were honest, and they were open. But those teachings over 2,000 years have affected, you know, 5 billion people. So hopefully some of that resonated with you. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully I was able to give it to you in a way that you know, was manageable, or you know, if there's anything more that you need me to explain, obviously give me some feedback. I'm going to try and get this on YouTube and try to get it on Facebook as well. And I'm going to keep these going as often as possible. I think a Sunday will be a good day for me to get this out, either in the morning or the evening. I haven't decided yet, or maybe both, because I don't get much time. And then try to get segments out throughout the week. And you know, if there's anything else that you want me to talk about, certainly get that to me as well. So, love and light, and our country will stay strong. Nothing will stop us.